So news broke right before I came on air here from the Associated Press. President Trump is apparently considering using 100,000 National Guardsmen to round up immigrants. Yeah. So that's not good. The only saving grace is that it might just be a trial balloon that they're floating here. There were a few other instances where there were news stories in relation to what they might do, and then they didn't do it. The most prominent example is, of course, an anti-LGBTQ executive order that you had Ivanka Trump and Jared Kushner apparently talk Trump out of doing. So, but there were reports, oh, he's going to do it, and then he didn't do it. So this might be a similar thing, but think about that. Imagine for a second this actually happens. Man, that's a whole new level of fucked up, and that's a whole new level of authoritarian. So we discussed the story recently. Trump did some raids where I think the number was about 780 immigrants were deported, and they say 75% of the people were criminals. So they were convicted criminals who were undocumented immigrants, but 25% were not. Now, understand, under Obama, he actually broke a record for deportations. So there is quite a bit of hypocrisy from people in the Democratic Party who now all of a sudden are super concerned, but they didn't care much under Obama because he put a happy face on the disgusting policies. But I actually kind of agree with the mainline Democratic stance on this in Washington. So I'm somewhat of a moderate or a centrist on the issue of immigration. I have no problem with deporting people who are criminals. Well, it depends what kind of criminal they are. So if they're just like a low-level drug offender, a nonviolent drug offender, I don't even think they should have been locked up in the first place. So no, I wouldn't deport them. But if you're talking about violent criminals who are undocumented immigrants who are in the country, I have no problem deporting them. So, but that's one thing. It's a totally different thing to start deporting people who aren't criminals. And that's what Trump is doing. So, again, 75% were criminals. We don't know what kind of criminals they were. My guess is you had a healthy dose of people in there who weren't they didn't do violent crime. They just did a low-level drug offense. I would not deport those people. And I definitely wouldn't deport the 25% of the people who aren't criminals. Because the reality is, the majority of people who come to this country, even if they're undocumented, they're just trying to create a better life for themselves and their family and their kids. And this idea that they're coming in and it's like twisting their evil mustache. Whoa, we will bring down the United States of America. Yes, yes. That's just not the case. So totally disagree with the 25% that they deported there. Furthermore, also disagree with a large portion of the 75% because chances are they were non-violent drug offenders, some low-level criminal. But now we're really getting off the rails here. 100,000 National Guardsmen to go across the country and do raids and round up families and ship them out? I don't know what words you want me to use for that. I think I'm being rather kind by saying it's just authoritarian. There's a word that starts with F that you can invoke in this situation. I think y'all know what it is. Did I just say y'all in a serious way? That might be the first time I've ever done it. That was weird. So no, this is not good. And unfortunately, whether you have Democrats or Republicans, their immigration policies are pretty ridiculous. Again, Obama broke a record, over 2 million people deported, so I don't think he was just deporting criminals. So, again, I disagree with that. I'm fine with deporting people who were criminals, violent criminals. I think, many reasonable people on the left would agree with that. But outside of that, I would definitely do a deal for people who've been here and they're working hard, even if they came in here undocumented. I would definitely do a deal to keep them in the country. For fuck's sake, we actually need those people. There's a town in Alabama that decided, you know what, we're going to get tough on immigration and we're going to kick out all these illegals. Guess what happened? They were begging for them back within a few months because they didn't have enough workers to, be on the farms and stuff like that. So it's it's not true that they're nothing but a drain on society. They don't even get, it's funny how people complain, they're going to get all these government benefits. They don't even get most of the different kinds of government benefits that, citizens receive. They can't get them because they're not citizens. So, and in fact, their undocumented immigrants are net taxpayers of, I think, over $10 billion a year. So it's just not accurate to say that they're a drain on society and there are all these problems. Again, criminals, fine, deport them. But outside of that, you got to be reasonable, and you got to understand these are human beings, man. Like, I often think about, what if some disaster were to happen here and you and I had to flee to a different country, and we go into the country and we bust our ass and we work hard and we try our best to, make ends meet for the family and do the right thing. And then they turn around and they're like, yeah, we don't care, and we're going to deport you. It's like, okay, then what do you want me to say? You're callous motherfuckers. That's the bottom line. And now we're thinking 100,000 National Guardsmen to round up immigrants. That's a terrible idea. I hope they don't do it. And you never know, because this Trump administration is as big of a wild card as I've ever seen.